Veni Domine, Maranatha, Sito Veni Maranatha.
I'm Stephen Kozel. For those of you who don't know, thank you very much for coming to Authenticum. Tonight we have Duncan Stroik with us. He is a practicing architect, author, and professor of architecture at the University of Notre Dame. We won't hold that against him. His award-winning work includes Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity Chapel in California, the Chapel of the Holy Cross in Tampa, and Christ Chapel at Hillsdale College. A frequent lecturer on sacred architecture and the classical tradition, Stroik has authored The Church Building as a Sacred Place, Beauty, Transcendence, and the Eternal. Mr. Stroik is an inaugural member of the Society for Catholic Liturgy, the founding editor of Sacred Architecture Journal. He is a graduate of University of Virginia and Yale University School of Architecture. Again, thank you all for coming. Duncan Stroik.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you so much for being here and for that beautiful prayer, Father, and for that introduction. And I was fortunate to be here about 10 years ago, or is it longer? Right when you were starting your school, your classical academy. When is that? 10 years ago? 12 years ago? 10? Okay, you spelled it with an E or an I? So that was great to be here, and back then the church had shag rugs, the ceiling was lower, you had guitars in the sanctuary, and the pastor was like a mafioso. A laissez-faire mafioso. All right. Well, it's great to be here and to talk about Heaven Meets Earth, the revival of sacred art and architecture. And I'm on a little bit of a kick on the arts and how important they are, and maybe what architecture can do for the arts, or what architecture has to do with the arts. But you can make that decision, and I welcome your comments and criticism. I will note that there are some non-Italian organs in some of these pictures. They will sound different than your organ, so if you're offended by that, I'm sorry. But it's great to see your new organ. That's really what I meant to say. That's fantastic. All right. Anybody know what this was? White City. Great, the White City. 1893, some of the top architects, painters, and sculptors from around the U.S. gathered to help create the Columbian Exposition in Chicago. The great Daniel Burnham was the leader. Charles Follen McKim worked with him, and Augustus Saint-Gaudens and others. What they created changed the face of American art, architecture, and cities for the next 40 years. And these works are today considered among the finest of American masterpieces. At the beginning, when they were doing this Columbian Exposition, there was a feeling that they were reviving something that had been done before. The sculptor, Augustus Saint-Gaudens, exclaimed after the first planning session, "This is the greatest meeting of artists since the 15th century." He said that very humbly. In 1893 began this movement called the City Beautiful, that we also call the American Renaissance. The American Renaissance produced masterpieces such as the Boston Public Library, the New York Public Library, Pennsylvania Station, the San Francisco Opera House, the Macmillan Plan in Washington, D.C., which includes Union Station. Most of the Union Stations, the Supreme Court and other federal buildings with civic buildings across the country, including in Michigan and Grand Rapids. All the 50 states. How did we do that? My goal as an architect is to promote a renaissance of culture and the arts. We can do that in our home lives, in our children's educations, and in our churches. We can educate our friends and relatives. However, as an architect and an artist, I believe you can be most effective in the revival of arts directly through your own craft. There's a famous poet sitting in the front row, I forget his name, and he does it very well, James Matthew Wilson. To revive the arts is to breathe new life in them and to serve the overall renaissance of culture. How do we foster a new renaissance? To begin with, we need to practice our craft very well to the best of our abilities. To do that, we need to believe in our craft, whether it is painting, poetry, ballet, architecture, sculpture, something uniquely important and crucial for the renewal of culture. But we also need to see our art as part of a greater whole, and that we are all only a small part of that answer. Rather than letting the reality of our smallness make us sad, it should make us aware of all the other artists who are pushing the culture in the direction of light. That's what we have to do. We have to push the culture, I believe. Or you can say lead. Some of them don't want to go there, so I say push. Artists have an important part to play in this new renaissance by practicing your art, yet even more so if you're willing to become part of the whole. We are each like soldiers at the Battle of Vienna who, against a much larger and greater foe, become victorious by joining with others under the leadership of Jan Sobieski. He worked for those other guys, but it was really, I think they gave him his sword and his horse. All right. Each of us are like athletes, and we need to strengthen our whole bodies, mind, eyes, ears, feet, and hands. Perhaps you are a sculptor, and so the writing of the novelist doesn't seem interesting. Yet I tell you that the success of the novelist strengthens what you do. The true success that we seek after, and which is what I hope for, is not monetary or personal success, which is ultimately fleeting, but the renaissance of culture, the revival of faith, and the beautification of the world. These three are, I judge, the highest goals of the artist. Let me begin by suggesting the scenario for architecture and why you, as a wordsmith, a composer, a ballerina, or a patron, all of you are patrons. Do you know that? Or you could become a patron. For only $5,000, we'll put you in the patrons. No, all of us should be patrons. That's my point. Some of you are patrons, others of you should become patrons, but we all need to do it. Okay, we should care about the restoration of architecture. Why? Because architecture is the mother of the arts, and a good mother will do anything for the good of her children. Architecture has the greatest impact on us of the arts due to its size, cost, and fulfillment of shelter. But it is also the art which rightly accommodates and fosters all the other arts. Architecture is the pinnacle of the arts, but only when it incorporates and serves all the others. As Jesus told the apostles, whoever would be greater among you must also be your servant. Architecture, when classical, consciously provides places for other artists to do their work. Churches, libraries, schools, museums, courthouses, theaters, concert halls, congress halls, and the public piazza all should provide appropriate places for the arts. Specifically, the buildings are designed to showcase sculptures of great men, paintings of the virtues, which are usually women, inscriptions of poetry or prose, mosaic symbols and saints, images from stories, both classic and new, and rooms for performing. When I'm designing a new or used building, this was a used building, I have to do many things. The best way to think about it is to refer to the Vitruvian triad of firmitas, utilitas, and venustas. Do you know those words? Firmitas, permanence, utilitas, utility. Venustas is beauty. Venustas, it's the other word for beauty. Most of the other arts, with the exception of outdoor sculpture, have limited need for firmitas, permanence, and almost none for utilitas, function. The arts in the classical sense should be pure venustas, beauty. And that is why architecture, with its protective and its functional capacities, is best to house and showcase the other arts. So let me show you a couple of projects that try to incorporate the arts. College chapel at the end of a quad, circular colonnade with a dome, fountain, draws you in, symbol of the college above, cross above, window with a saying from Thomas Aquinas. The pine cone welcomes you, hospitality. There's the portico, circular portico, first brick dome in 50 years in the US. You can't read that, at least I can't read it. But over the doors, faith, open, love. Faith, open, love. You enter through the doors. There's the light from above with the horse heads. Come into the lobby with symbols, Christian symbols, the Alpha and the Omega, the two fish, many other symbols. The Ark of the Covenant, the holy name of Jesus. Is that kind of too white, honey? And we come into the nave, and with some verticality and transcendence, and the focus on the high altar, but more importantly, the organ, as a joke. A couple of symbols there about worship. I don't know if you can see them from here. And then this fun thing, we had 10, I designed 10 oval rondelles, and we said, well, what's 10? What's 10? 12 apostles minus 2, 10. So we did the fruits of the Spirit, which is 9, and then we added 1. So, which I do all the time, because sometimes the architecture doesn't really work out with all those odd numbers, except for the Trinity. And we did, across from Caritas, we have Castitas. Do you know what that is? Caritas, love, and Castitas. Yeah. So we added chastity, which is in the list, in the bigger list of fruits of the Holy Spirit. Like, if you want more fruits, there's more, but you know. Chastity. Anyway, I like that for college. Okay. The faculty got a great kick out of it too. I don't know about the students. Yeah, they did. All right, some swags and urns, and so, and there's the high altar with the cross. And can you see that? The lyre for music and the horn, and then some symbols on the organ. We design organs all the time. Oh, the organ case, right? We're the architecture, the architect enclosing the beautiful instrument. We're not doing the actual instrument. But this one has this great inscription, which I can never read on the screen, of Laudate eum in cordis et organo. You guys are all Latinists, so what does that mean? Praise him, yeah, praise him. Praise him with strings and pipe, 150. And then the big organ, which got built a little bit later, and is, all you can say about it is it's bigger. The grand org, they call it. And this is Sing to the Lord a New Song, for he has done marvelous deeds. I don't know what that is in Latin because I can't read it right there. But So some inscriptions are part of what we do. And then the day chapel, with which is a little tiny chapel and used for different things, but with its own little candles and crucifix. But also, I've always wanted to do this because it's kind of naughty, to use a stained glass window as an altarpiece. It's not done. It's actually illegal. Like Vatican II said, you can't do it. Kidding, come on. But it's not done. And I've always wanted to do it just for fun so that people wouldn't pray at night. Come on, I'm kidding. All right, well, at any rate, so it's the washing of the feet. And on the right, can you see that? The great angel with his sword, Michael. All right. Okay, there he is. Okay, sorry, there he is, yeah. He's stepping on somebody, I'm not sure who. All right, so that's a little cottage chapel, and then a little bit later we did this classical academy. It's different than your classical academy, but it's the same because it's classical, and it's a brand new building. It's planned to be an H shape, and you're seeing the crossbar of the H. So it has the crossbar and then 4 little buildings that stick around it. And so this is the school, K through 12. Capstone is the name. And in the back, we have one very important thing that all classical academies have to have in order to get accreditation and for parents to pay for a lot of money for the kids to go there.
Soccer field.
Yeah, soccer field and a gym. A gym. I mean, that's the most important thing. Like, you know, I don't care about the science lab. I want the gym. So we have a nice little gym in the back. You can't see it here. But yeah, it's a fun little project. I hope they can do the rest of the H other than the gym, although I do believe gyms are the most important thing for the life of the mind. And they help artists and architects, and they're usually pretty boring looking. But at any rate, we did the best we could. Okay, so here's the new school. Capstone has a little bit of a portico, has a big window, has the wings, has a couple of lots of entrances. All right, what else? Okay, there's up close. Ego, veni, ut, vitam, habeant.
I come that they might have life.
Thank you, Father. I come that they might have life. All right, so it's a great inscription over the front door to the school to welcome the kids and their parents. And is that the closest I have? Okay. 2 of the greatest teachers, and there's a game here. I don't know if you guys do this in your classical academy, but there's a game with classicists, which is, you know, the ancient and the modern. So we start that on the outside with ancient and modern. And since we like to teach the kids their ABCs, we start with the A's. Do you know who those 2 guys are, the A's? The A on the left and the A on the right? Aristotle and who? Aquinas, good. So we have Aristotle and Aquinas. They were good friends. They used to engage in debates. Aristotle was dead when they did it, but they engaged in debates. So that's one of the types of this of a classical education and a classical academy. And so we wanted to tell you that. Obviously, Christ is at the center, but we like Aristotle and what's his name? And above we have this great kind of beacon, the tower, with a cross, you know, because it's classical academy. And I do laugh though that they named it. You can just barely see it, but there's the coat of arms over the big window, and they dedicated it to Capstone. And I said, well, that's good. That has kind of a biblical ring, and that's it. They said, yeah, that's the point. I said, that's good. I like biblical names and stuff. And so I looked for a really good quote using the word capstone in the Bible. It's in the Bible, but it's not a good quote. So, anyway, there's better words that use architectural terms. Capstone is like the top stone of a wall, right? There's better words that are more evocative that somebody is likened to in the scriptures. But anyway, that's all good. Capstone Academy, it sounds good. And all right, so then you come in the front door, and here's the lobby. And we want you to know this is a classical academy, and we've got the ancients and the moderns. Ancients are generally pagan, but not always, but the ancients and the moderns. And I was able to get 6 statues in there, 6 busts. We had 2 sculptors. One guy was an ancient sculptor, kind of a pagan guy. And then we had a kind of Christian modern guy. So, we did, I'm kidding, but we had these 2 sculptors. And they're kind of glaring, talking to each other. And Doric architecture. And great fun. And it's like, well, how do you pick 12? Who do you pick? And we had a lot of debates about that. And I lost most of them because I'm the architect and I don't know anything. And so, for instance, and I picked, what I wanted to do, though, was do disciplines. I wanted 6 disciplines. And so this is theology. This is actually at the middle of the room. This is actually right in the center of this view is one of these guys. Yeah, one of these guys is at the middle of the room. And then across from him, kind of where we're standing in this picture, is the other guy. Can you tell who they are? Somebody with a really nice hairdo. I think 2 horns. Moses on the left, ancient. And then the guy on the right.
Russell Crowe?
Yep, Russell Crowe. Who? Balding head. He actually has an inscription in Greek right there, which I could translate for you, but I don't want to impress you too much. He's a Greek inscription. So we have Moses and Paul. And so they're looking at each other. And then these 2 guys look at each other. Yeah, I'm sure you can guess the hippie on the left. Who's that? J.S. Bach, yep. And the guy on the right is a turn of the century, 19th, 20th century guy that all of you should be listening to in December in preparation for Christmas. Handel's good, but this is the Russian guy. Yep. So they're looking at each other. Again, you have to pick 12. There's lots of good. There weren't that many good options, but there are a few good options to pick. And then, I'll have to read to you the other ones because I can't remember who they all are. Like literature. Like who would put that in there? Like what's the deal? Don't I have it here? Come on. Yeah, here we go. All right, maybe not. Okay, science. Science is interesting. Science and math. Archimedes and somebody really recent. Einstein, thank you. We picked Einstein. There's a lot of debate about this, like, he wasn't so great, Niels Bohr, and blah, 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 all these arguments. And I wanted to pick some people that regular people might know their names, regular people like me, and that the kids would get and they wouldn't forget. And I'm sorry I don't have his thing, but he looks really good, Einstein, right? His hair is always disheveled. He looks great. At least in the bronze, his hair is always disheveled. And then we had, so that was science. Theology is on the cross axis. Music. Fine art. We didn't do fine art, but fine art. Who do you think it would be? Do you know the guy who did the Parthenon? Fine art. What kind of classical academy is it that you run here? The Pantheon, the Parthenon, one of those. What did he do? Starts with a PH, ends with an idios. Phidias. Praxiteles is good too. Phidias from the Parthenon, sculptor of the Parthenon. And then another sculptor who wasn't bad, who did a lot of stuff in Rome. Michelangelo, yeah. So you have Phidias and Michelangelo. I mean, you can't, we argued about that, Bernini and other people, and Michelangelo has a bigger fan club. You can't really argue that one is better than the other. Probably Michelangelo was a better painter than Bernini. And he might have been a better poet. Bernini's poetry is really kind of weak. It's kind of modern. I don't like it. It doesn't rhyme. It's like, kidding, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Okay, and then that's it, isn't it? Oh, literature. James Matthew Wilson. Literature. Who would you pick?
Oh, I I thought you were saying I was there.
You have to die first.
Yeah.
You have to die first. Don't tell your wife that.
You have to do Homer.
Homer, thank you, yep. Another
And Shakespeare.
Greek guy.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. Homer, two Greek guys, Homer and Shakespeare, yep. And yeah, so we did do that. All right, so that was kind of fun. Now, then we came into the library. The library is straight ahead. You can't really tell that from this picture, but here you come in on the left, and if you go straight ahead, you go into the library, okay? Library is not that important. It's not like the gym or the swimming pool, but we didn't know where else to put it, okay? But we thought that these smart guys in front of the library might show you the way, you know. So anyway, they say, go into the library and read some books, some papyri or something. And so you go in there, and you actually go downstairs so you can get so I can get more height, just so I can get more height. And it's all wood paneled and all that kind of stuff. And this is kind of fun. And there's not a lot of art in here, but at the end, James Langley did this nice paintings for us. Do I have a picture of that? Yeah, nice painting for me, which is of, what's his name, and the boat. And you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Ulysses and the sirens. And he's got a number of sailors with him, and he's got the sirens floating around, and he's also got a dream of his wife. And of course he stops his ears. Sorry, he ties himself to the guys stop their ears, and he ties himself to the mast. So it's all about the adventure, the challenge, learning, but also being wise when you go into the situations and making decisions. So I had wanted to do a boat and water, and then the water comes into the room and the kids are swept into the water and they get on the boat. And he thought this was more classical. I don't disagree. But anyway, so it worked out. So we go kind of chronologically: Aesop, the Iliad and the Odyssey, the Republic. And again, we had to pick 14 names, so it wasn't that hard. There's only about 25 good books. But we picked these. And again, my goal was books that the kids would read before 5th grade: Confession, Beowulf, The Divine Comedy, in the original languages, please. No, but these are books that we should know what they are, and we should at least look at the pictures. And hopefully some of the teachers will see this list and make the kids read them. I don't know. But no, they all agreed. And so, yeah, Beowulf, The Divine Comedy, Tale of Two Cities. I don't know what that is. It was kind of the best, but the worst. Romeo and Juliet, Pride and Prejudice. That's kind of a really good movie. Moby Dick, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's a kid's book. And then The Lord of the Rings. That's an adult book. Brothers Karamazov and War and Peace. So, you know, a little bit of international greatness there, and a few Greeks. So anyway, that's our library. So this is kind of interesting. Normally in a library, you also use names of authors. You do the same thing we did in the lobby. But I said, well, we've got 12 great men in the lobby, different disciplines. And in here, it's mainly literature, right? It's mainly literature. Who cares? But anyway, it's mainly literature. And we said, well, let's do names of books. That'll kind of mix it up a little bit and push it around a little bit. And some of these names are kind of hard to write, you know, like that guy who wrote Karamazov and War and Peace. It's hard to spell those, so it's easier just to do their titles, okay? All right. But anyway, James Langley did this great painting. Reading is kind of like that, tempestuous, but you got to tie yourself down. There we go. And that was fun. So these are all commissioned art, right? This is all custom art, commissioned by artists. I get a take, of course. I get a cut. And it's, for kids, K through 12 kids. And their parents aren't supposed to look at it. All right. This was fun. This is the teacher's lunchroom. The teacher's lunchroom. I said, that's not very nice for a lunchroom. Shouldn't they have a fridge and a microwave? They do. But no, the donor said, I'd really like a room to elevate them and hopefully elevate conversation and so on. And I'm sure that's true. And this is where we did a little witty quote, and darn it, do I have it? Yes. 1 Corinthians 3. It says, well, the Latin is, Father's going to tell us what this is, quia in igne revelabitur. Quia in igne revelabitur, over the fireplace. Well, it doesn't matter. Each one's work will become manifest for the day. Because it will be revealed in fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. So that's why I put that in there. But I wanted a fire quote, right? Fire quote over the fake fire. So we have a real quote in a dead language over the fake fire. And nobody gets the irony about that except for you. All right. So the other thing that was great fun is we have these 2 stairs, and around middle school you go upstairs to the right, and you have the lockers, and you have the bigger rooms, and you have the big fancy science lab, and the fancy art room, and so and so. Oh, there's some other fancy stuff we have that I won't get into for classical academies. Do you guys use the, what is it called? The such and such table from New Hampshire, from Exeter.
Periodic table?
The who?
Periodic table?
The periodic table. We use them periodically, but no, it's a big wooden table. Anyway, we have some cool stuff that are meant for seminar things that was invented at Exeter, and they're still being used by classicists. And anyway, so you go up these grand stairs. And well, what do you do with the stair? How do we make the stair nicer? So well, that should have 2 great murals, and it should be foundings. So one is the founding of the United States, and one is the founding of Rome. And I don't know if you can tell that. But the founding of the United States has a little bit to do with the semi-quincentennial that's going to happen next year, whatever that means. And people are telling me they're all calling it the A250. Like, that sounds like a rocket ship. But anyway, the A250 on the right, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the people that were part of it. And it's a little different than the traditional painting of Thomas, whatever his name is, sitting there. But they're all there. All the guys are there. And then on the left, it's the founding of Rome, which is a story about, does anybody know the founding of Rome? 2 brothers. Romulus and Remus. It should have been called, the town should have been called Rheims, but anyway, he killed them. Okay, Romulus and Remus. And what else? The she-wolf, she's there. And what's the thing about the oxen and the cart and the plowing the ground? That's how they determined the city, was they plowed the town. So anyway, we have the oxen and the cart, and Romulus doing that. Okay, so that's going up the stairs. You have the 2 foundings, Rome and the United States. And you're getting this, right? The ancient, modern, A and A, good and bad, ancient and modern, pagan and Christian, blah, blah, blah. Winners and losers. I'm kidding, but Michigan and Notre Dame, that kind of stuff. Winners, losers and winners. No, okay. And then, but this was the fun thing, is we did all of that, and we have the tall middle, and that let me put the chapel up there. So we put a big chapel upstairs, vaulted ceiling, view, seats about 300. And very simple, no organ yet, not from Italy at any rate. And it looks like there's not much there, not much art, but there's already too much art in the school, so it's okay. And, but we do have these side altars, so-called shrines. And this is where I wanted to do something for kids in bright colors and banners and stuff, and they shot it down. And no, but what we have is 4 shrines that are based on the parables, the big shot parables, the ones that even I remember. You know the ones I'm talking about? Prodigal Son, number 1. What?
Lost coin?
We actually do have the lost coin, and that's the one we're fighting about because nobody uses money anymore. What else? Good Samaritan. Loaves and fishes. That's not really a parable, but yeah, it's pretty good. Lost sheep is a good one. No, they don't farm out there.
Sower the seeds.
Sower the seeds. Yes, I sower the seeds. That sounds right. Yeah. Anyway, we picked the best 4 ones. The other ones we didn't. There's a lot of good ones. Okay, you're right. You're right. We didn't want to overdo it on the Costita stuff. Anyway, that's what we did here for the side shrines. And then the main altar, which is faux marbled and has this nice inscription, Mandatum Novum Deo Vobis. Mandatum Novum Deo Vobis. Give you new commandment. And that is the foot washing, Jesus washing the feet of the disciples. So that's what they wanted, and I thought that was great, service, and to put that in the kids' minds. So anyway, that's a little school. And then this is the one that we're doing right now. Up in Wisconsin. It's a shrine. Has anybody been there? Only a few saintly people in the whole room? Okay, and it's the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and that's that's kind of the priory for the Norbertines on the right, and this is the edge of the church. And the cardinal wanted a retreat house, which is now called the St. Juan Diego Pilgrim Center. And he wanted it to be there. And people said the cheapest, best place to put it was in the parking lot. And I said, you're right, that's the cheapest place to put it. And but we found a way to spend more money and put it on the hill next to the church, so that when you're on retreat, you're actually there the whole time. So anyway, that's the retreat house, St. Juan Diego Retreat House. It's all stone to match the church, and it's got an arcade, and you go through that arcade that connects you to the retreat house. Pretty simple. And that's from the if you're on the Mississippi River, this is what you see. It's got a nice roof terrace. It's got a couple of angels up there, the 3 important ones plus another one. We needed 4. Again, I'm always having this trouble with numbers. So we have the 3 archangels and then one other guy. I think archangels are good for archbishops, but since we have a cardinal, we have 4, and then a couple of balconies. And so on. Come in to the narthex, and it has this patterned floor, and that's what it looks like. And I think of it as like the home of an Italian cardinal, or Vatican cardinal, whatever that means. So it's welcoming you to his house, and that's how he thinks about it too. And there's no real like checkout counter, but it's coming into the house. So you come in and you sit at that desk, and then a Carmelite nun comes and greets you and asks you what you're doing there, and you should leave. No, what would you like to do while you're there, and what can they do to help you, and then over that entranceway, you can't really see it there, but in that big lunette, that big half circle, is a painting of Our Lady of Victory, overseeing the great victory of the sea battle. Lepanto, thank you, yeah. And there are the major generals on one of the ships on the left, and there is Doria is in the inside of the galleass, and he's praying to Our Lady, and he was given by Philip, the King of Spain. He was given the image of Our Lady under the guise of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So she was there. She's part of the story, and there she is, bringing up the weather and the battle, ending the battle, the greatest sea battle of all time. And then this is the other view of the lobby with somebody's coat of arms, a pope, and various nice furniture and paintings and so on. And there it is. And I love this because this is I don't have the quote. Yeah, it is. No, this is the coat of arms of Cora tur omnes. I have no idea what that means, Father. But it's who is this? Benedict the 14th, who's the one who said, non fecit taliter omni nationi. Non fecit taliter omni nationi. This was not done for any other nation. That's what he said when he heard about the conversion of the Mexicans through Our Lady of Guadalupe. So anyway, he's got to be there. He's part of the story. And then that's his coat of arms. It's another fake fire. Okay, and it doesn't get cold in Wisconsin, so it's okay. And then around the ceiling, you can see that here. See those circular spots? Look closely at them. But there are 6 great pilgrimage churches in the world. And there's only about 8, so that was easy to narrow down. I'm kidding again. But do you know this one? I'm wearing the tie. Yeah, Holy Sepulchre. And then do you know that one? And that's Santiago Compostela. That one? The great church to Our Lady in Rome. Lourdes, another great church to Our Lady. This one you should know. I'm sorry, you just got to know it. I'm not sure why. It looks like a little bit like St. Paul, Minnesota. Yeah, that's Sacré-Cœur. And so anyway, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing there. You come into the lobby, the Lord's lobby. It's got Lepanto there. People are dying, and then we've got the great shrines, and Our Lady of Guadalupe is, of course, one of the great shrines of the world. So then each of the conference rooms is dedicated to a different apparition of Our Lady, and so one is dedicated to Ruderbach, and one is dedicated to Fatima, and then the other big room, because it's the St. Juan Diego retreat pilgrim house, the big one is Tepeyac. And over each of the doorways are these lunettes that tell the story of Ruderbach on the above, and I forget who those little kids are. Yeah, it's somewhere, not in Spain, but really close. All right. And then this is the hallway that leads you from the lobby to the main room, and it has the other conference rooms. And you go through that door, and that's the beginning of the 5 apparitions to Our Lady of Guadalupe. We are doing 4 of them because the 5th is the 5th apparition of Our Lady is to his uncle Juan. You know this, okay? Yeah, you know what I mean. You all know. Come on, you got the point. Yeah, I mean, come on. So we do 4 of the apparitions of Our Lady, and this is the main conference room, ballroom, dining room. Seats 120 for dinner, 200 for lectures. But there's not that many canon lawyers in the world, so it's okay. And this will have images of the story of Tepeyac. You can see them there over the doors as you come in. And then windows looking out over the Mississippi Valley. And then these are some early designs by Raul Berzosa of some of the apparitions. Juan Bernardino in the bottom right. She comes and heals his uncle Juan Bernardino. And that is in the middle. That is the great presentation to Bishop Zumárraga. He wants to show him a few flowers, and there's something else there. And then above is the second apparition of Our Lady asking Juan Diego to, no, I was serious, please build a little house here. I wasn't kidding. Talk to the bishop and ask him to build a house. Okay, so how do you do a retreat center, and how do you create rooms? Good air conditioning, heating, hot water, showers. So we said, let's do something that makes this into a retreat house. Let's make every room an oratory, every room into a chapel. And so we have 33 rooms. That's a good number, I'm not sure why. And they tell the story of Our Lady and her Son. And they're all, you could say, all great mysteries. And you will stay in one of those rooms. Yeah, you're staying on floor 2. You're staying on the Nativity of the Virgin room. Or floor 4, you're staying in the arrival of the wise men, and so on. So everyone has their own altarpiece, your own prie-dieu, and that's how we're thinking. And they're very big rooms because on retreat sometimes you spend a lot of time in your room. So we wanted to make it an oratory that you want to be in, and that you could. I'm not saying that Wisconsin weather is worse than Michigan. I'm really not saying that, but it's pretty bad. Okay. And then this shows you you can't probably read that, but this has kind of the list. And we had a canon lawyer come up with the list. And these are some of the early sketches by Nielsen Carlin. And here's the 4th floor with Manuel Ferrugia, the public ministry of Christ. And there's one of his paintings from another church, which is very simple, but it's kind of nice. Okay, we're heading there. And then the top floor is Raul Berzosa from Spain, who is doing the Passion all the way up to the Assumption. And there's his first painting for the Agony in the Garden. And then, just so that we don't leave out the great apparition in our country that has been approved, do you know the one? Of what? Yeah, since we're great American athletes, it's Our Lady of Champion, which is in Wisconsin, Green Bay, Cheeseheads. And this, over this fireplace, which might even be real, we will have an inscription, a witty inscription, and we'll have Our Lady of Champion there. The angels are up on the terrace. They lead our gaze into the valley, the 3 archangels for the archbishops, and then you see them there by Cody Swanson, and one of them is the guardian angel. And they'll be life-size in marble, like your organ imported from Italy. What's that?
Life-size spirit, eh?
Life-size spirit. And so that's a couple of projects that I've been working on to try to promote the arts. And I want to share this nice image, which you probably can't see, of the great architect Cockerell, and he calls it the Professor's Dream. And in this painting, you can see maybe at the front he has Egypt, antiquity, the Sphinx, and some of the Egyptian gates and temples. And then you have Rome and Greece. And then it goes into Christendom and Hagia Sophia and St. Peter's and the great Gothic churches like Notre Dame. And this is the Professor's Dream, all the great stuff, the classical tradition. So I ask you, what shall we revive? The simple answer is we should revive the classical tradition, which changes and yet includes timeless truths. We need to bring back narrative, telling good stories through art. Now in this, painting is easier than sculpture to tell stories. Music is more articulate when you have words. Poetry is always the best. Dance, drama, movies, and history can all tell a narrative, and historically they did. We need stories that turn our hearts to the good, the true, and the beautiful, the bonum, the verum, the pulchrum. We also need virtues rather than mere values, which have become watered down and personal taste. The ancient virtues, but also their successors in the cardinal and theological virtues, prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude, plus faith, hope, and charity. Rather than simply defend against the muck, I see that you're doing this here at Sacred Heart. You are providing an alternative that builds people up. We need to embrace the great tradition, classicism and its daughters, the Romanesque, the Gothic, the Byzantine. To practice the great tradition is to make it alive again, just as it has been revived time and time again. What do we all need to do? Artists with different crafts and specialties, I've already said it, but be the best. Second, take a hint from classical architect and in your own way, provide a place for the others. How? The ballerina should hire the architect to design her sets. The sculptor should find a poet to write a description of his bas-relief. The musician should ask the architect to design a beautiful rehearsal hall. The painter should employ the sculptor to create his bust. This is Dana Gioia. The musician should hire the poet to write their libretto. The artist should employ the architect to design her house. This is my wife's house. The artist should employ the architect to design her house and pay him generously. I still need a little cash. This is one of my favorite paintings from the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, and it is essentially the School of Athens for the artists. And it shows all the great artists and architects from all periods together in the same place. Judging us, right? We're being judged by them, whether we like it or not. I don't want to be judged by them. We all need to embrace the full panoply of the arts, to read their poetry, go to their concerts, encourage your patrons to hire the other, and eat lunch together. The Beaux-Arts, the beautiful arts, need each other because they are stronger when together. The ballet is better in the beautiful room. The music is better surrounded by paintings of virtues. The building is only Renaissance work if it includes the other arts. And this is the door of Villa Raffaella. Pulchritudo mundum solvavit. Beauty will save the world. Thank you.